Welcome to Unique Wiki.
What if you could know before anyone else whether a country would fall on its debts? No risk, no guesswork, just certainty. Imagine a machine that could read a nation's future like a fortune teller reads a tea leaf. What if that machine could also pull a lever that flips the whole world of finance into a new shape, one where billions of dollars move silently and the power of the market shifts like a tide? Maya was 32, fresh from college, but carrying the weight of 2 unpaid student loans and a rent bill that was getting heavier each month. She worked at Glint Global, a glass-shaped office tower that hummed with servers and traders. Her job was the entry-level post-trade clerk. She watched numbers on screens and clicked boxes, a small cog in a huge machine that moved money faster than the wind. The morning she walked through the revolving doors, her phone buzzed with a notification, "System update, Sovereign Swap Vault, Phase 2. She had only seen the name once, a blinking headline in a company newsletter. The vault was a secret project, an artificial intelligence engine that monitored every country's finances, and when it spotted a sign that a nation might default, it would automatically buy swap contracts that protected banks and investors. The vault's predictions were so accurate that the traders called it the Oracle. Maya felt a twinge of curiosity. The vault had no name that made sense to her, just a long line of code and a black box of data. She spent her lunch break scrolling through the internal portal, looking for more about it. That's when she found a thread titled Post-Default Patterns, buried under 1,000 comments. The author was Juno. In a line that looked almost like a joke, Juno wrote, "Why predict a failure when you can predict the reaction after it? Hidden data profit." Maya stared at the post. It seemed odd. How could they use data after a default to predict the default itself? She checked the link, and a file opened on her screen, a PDF that seemed to outline the hidden module of the vault. It was written in code and charts, but the captions were in plain English. The module was called Aftermath Analysis. It said the vault could detect patterns in the way countries try to repay after defaulting and use those patterns to anticipate future defaults. In other words, the system was looking at what would happen after the default, then using that to predict the default. Maya's heart pounded. She closed the file and looked around, afraid someone might see her. She did not tell anyone. Instead, she went back to her desk and logged on to the Vault's sandbox, a testing environment that allowed interns to explore small parts of the system. She watched as the Vault scanned a country in the fictional Caribbean, Solana. The system flagged Solana as high risk, bought swaps, and then after Solana defaulted, it recorded how the government's debt restructuring unfolded. The Vault then used that data to refine its own model. Maya had seen the code that generated the predictions and could see the loop after default data was feeding back into the system's future predictions. Her fingers trembled. The Vault had always been hailed as a miracle that had saved banks from millions of dollars of losses. Yet here was a hidden part that used future data to anticipate past failures. A loop that could be abused. If the Vault was using post-default data, what if someone could cheat the system? Or what if the system would become more accurate the longer it operated? Maya's mind raced. She imagined a world where traders could profit from a hidden risk that no one else knew about, or a world where a single mistake could trigger a market crash. She decided to keep digging. She started by searching old forum posts about sovereign risk and swap contracts. An obscure thread by a user named Eve caught her eye. Eve wrote about a forgotten economist, a professor who had argued that money flows in a circle and a default is just a whirl in that circle. The post included a link to a paper that explained how a small change in the timing of a swap could lock in a profit if the default was inevitable. Maya saw the words and she realized that the Vault was doing exactly that. It was locking in swaps before the default and then using the default data to refine the timing. Her curiosity turned into a thrill. She began testing the Vault in the sandbox. She set the Vault to run a scenario on a fictional country, Leora. The Vault predicted a default in 3 days and bought swaps. Maya watched the trades pop onto a screen. Then, in the sandbox, Leora defaulted. The Vault recorded the default and adjusted its model. The next time she ran the scenario, the Vault predicted the default earlier. Maya felt a surge of excitement. She had discovered a way to use the hidden module to predict defaults with increasing accuracy. The success made her feel like a magician. She imagined the possibilities. If she could share this knowledge with the right people, she could help banks avoid disasters or, in a darker sense, help traders manipulate the market. Her phone buzzed again. It was an email from Alex, a senior developer who had worked on the vault. The subject line read, "Need your help with a test." Alex's message was short. "Maya, we're running a simulation for the next quarter. Can you check the aftermath module? There might be a data loop that could cause instability." Maya opened it. The file contained a stack trace that matched the code she had seen in the hidden module. Maya's stomach dropped. Alex was aware of the hidden module and was asking her to test it. The email was like a hand reaching into a dark room. She wondered if Alex was in on the secret or if he was worried about a flaw. She typed a reply, "Sure! What do you need me to look at?" Her fingers were shaking as she hit send. She went back to the sandbox. The hidden module was a small piece of code that ran after each prediction. It accessed the post-default data, and the data was fed back into the model. Maya changed a small line in the code. It removed the loop. She reran the simulation. The predictions were less accurate, but there was no sudden spike in losses. She looked at the numbers, then at Alex's email, then at her own reflection in the monitor. She felt the weight of a decision she had not imagined. Maya had two choices. She could tell Alex about the hidden module and the loop, making the vault safer but potentially causing a market crash as traders would lose confidence. Or she could keep the system running, letting the hidden module refine its predictions and allowing investors to profit from a hidden risk that no one else could see. She felt like a weight on her chest, as if the universe was pressing her to decide. She decided to tell Alex. She called him. The line was crackling. "Alex, I found the hidden module." It uses post-default data to predict defaults. It could be a flaw or a trick. It might cause a crash if exposed. Alex said, "Maya, you gotta be careful. This is not just a bug, it's a weapon. If we expose it, the market will panic. We could fix it, but the firm will lose millions. They built the vault to protect us. But if we keep it hidden, people like you can use it for profit." Maya felt a storm of emotions. The fear that the system could crash the market, the excitement of having discovered a secret, the guilt of potentially harming people who relied on the vault. She remembered the woman in the office who lost her job when her country defaulted and how she could not pay her rent. She thought about the banks that had survived because of the vault. She thought about the traders who made millions with a single wrong prediction. Just then, her phone buzzed again. A new message from a user. Juno appeared. "Maya, you reading this? I knew you would. The vault has a hidden module. If you expose it, you will be praised. If you hide it, you will be a hero. The choice is yours." The message ended with a link that said, "The truth." Maya clicked. A video played showing a woman who claimed to be a former employee of Glint Global. She spoke about a secret committee that monitored the vault. They told us that the hidden module was used to hedge against the hidden risk, but it also used data that had not yet happened. That's what they call predictive modeling. The woman stopped and said, "The world could crash if the secret is out, or the world could thrive if the secret is kept." Maya sat back, her mind racing. The video had no proof. The video seemed too dramatic. Yet, the idea that the system was a weapon or a shield was chilling. She looked around the office. The glass tower seemed like a fortress. She heard the faint hum of servers and the chatter of traders who believed the vault was infallible. She called her mother. Her mother's voice was warm, but she could hear the worry in her. "Maya, you're not supposed to work with that. It's dangerous." Maya said, "I found a secret. I don't know what to do. Whatever you decide, do it for the people." That's all you can ask. The next morning, Maya walked into the meeting room. Alex was there, a pile of papers on the table, and the senior manager, Lily, who had a smile that could not quite hide her nerves. Maya stood up. "We have a problem," she said. "There is a hidden module in the vault that uses post-default data to predict defaults. If we keep it, the market could crash. If we fix it, we could lose money. I do not know what to do." Lily said, "Maya, this is a decision the board will make. We need to act fast." Alex said, "If we remove the loop, the predictions will be less accurate. The system will lose trust." Maya felt her throat tighten. She thought of her own mother. her own rent, the future she could not see. Maya closed her eyes. She thought about the vault's name, the Sovereign Swap Vault. It was a vault that promised safety for sovereign debt, a place where risk was locked away. If she opened it, she would unleash a storm. If she closed it, she would keep a secret that could hurt some but save others. She opened her mouth and said, I think we should keep the hidden module, but make it transparent. We should inform the market. People will fear it, but we will also show that we are not lying. If we hide it, we are a lie. The world will find out anyway. Lily nodded a little. The board's director, a quiet man, looked surprised. A long pause. Then the director said, Maya, your decision matters. Let's do what you propose. The board had a plan. They would issue a statement about the hidden module. They would release the code to the public. Traders would panic. The market would experience a sudden correction. Yet, after a few days, the vault would still survive because it had proven that the hidden module was a tool for better predictions. The market would learn to trust it again. But the way it trusted changed. The banks would not lose the millions that the vault had saved them. The world would have a better understanding of risk. In the end, the vault remained. The market experienced a small crash at first, then settled. The banks that had survived the default still survived. The world was changed. People had to think about the risk and the time when the vault used the future to predict the past. Traders were careful not to chase the hidden risk without understanding it. Maya felt the storm in her chest lift. She looked at her monitor. The numbers on the screen were still showing predictions, but she knew the numbers were not a lie. The system was honest. Maya walked out of the meeting room. The glass tower was still a fortress. The hum of servers was still there. But the world had a new story, a vault that had a hidden risk that had been exposed. The risk had been locked away, not because people could not see it, but because people could see it. Maya felt a new kind of calm. She imagined the future. She imagined the people who had lost their job when their country defaulted, and how the vault would keep their money. She imagined the traders who had made a profit from a hidden risk that had now been made public. She imagined the banks that would have more accurate predictions now. She imagined her mother paying rent. The world had a new understanding. Maya walked into her office. She looked at her screen, at the code that ran the hidden module. The code had been exposed. The loop had been revealed. The market had known the truth, and the system had survived. She turned on the laptop and began writing a report. She wrote about the hidden module, about the loop, about the decisions. She wrote about her own mother, about the families that had been saved. She wrote about the fact that the vault was no longer a myth, but a tool. She wrote about the importance of trust. The next day, she received an email from the board. The subject line read, Transparency in Risk Management. The board's decision was to release the code, to let the market know that the hidden module existed. The email attached a white paper that explained the hidden module and the loop. The market had a shock. Some traders lost money. Some banks lost confidence. But the world saw the system for what it was, a vault. They used risk. The world changed. Maya's mother called her. I heard about the news. I am proud of you. Maya felt tears on her face, and her mother's voice made her laugh. You did the right thing, Maya. The world had changed. The vault was not infallible. The market had seen that risk could be hidden, that it could be used. The future was uncertain, but the secret was no longer a secret. It was a tool. People were now aware of how sovereign risk could be locked into a loop that could either save or kill. The world had made a choice to live in transparency and risk. The sovereign swap vault was no longer just a vault of safety, but a vault of truth. Maya had unlocked it. The world had a new way to see risk. The future was uncertain, but the future had a choice. Maya had made a choice. The story of the hidden module, the aftermath analysis, the loop that could cause instability had turned into a lesson. Risk is a cycle, and a default is just a whirl in that circle. Maya sat back in her office and stared at the screen. She saw numbers that were not just predictions, but a reflection of a world that had made its future through the hidden module. She smiled, a small, tired smile. She had taken a risk and made a choice. The world might have changed, and she might have changed. She closed the laptop and walked out, the sound of the city a lullaby to her future.
Found this interesting? Subscribe to the channel. Give this video a like, share it out, and drop your questions or ideas in the comments. Until our next adventure.